Hello everyone, I am Renowned Zero, and today we're going to be talking about actual fandom once again. And we're going to be critiquing a review of ISOM number 1 that most likely, or I've read a little bit of it, it got Eric's character himself, like Eric July himself, and his book disastrously wrong, in my opinion. But we're going to take a look at this clip first from actual fandom, go through a couple of memes that were put out recently that are quite frankly quite racist. But he goes and makes this live stream about why it's good that Miss Marvel died, but what does he proceed to do? Because he's obviously obsessed with Eric July. He goes on to talk about Eric July in a stream that doesn't even mention him at all. So we'll jump right into it here.
Eric, in fact, he's got that account on Twitter that definitely isn't affiliated with him at all. So don't even suggest that.
It's not.
It definitely isn't affiliated with the Rippaverse at all. You and your cronies really think that the Rippaverse Goalpost account is somehow a sock account for Eric July. I don't think Eric July has that much time on his hands. I know he has some time to make fun of and monetize you weirdos, but I don't think he has enough time to make what you would call a sock account.
Yeah.
But they said something one time. They tagged a bunch of the people on Twitter that often criticize him, and they're like, why are they all so obsessed with him?
They don't really criticize much. They kind of just make false claims is what they really do.
And it's like, we're not obsessed with him.
You're 100% obsessed with him. You're making a live stream called Why It's Good Miss Marvel Died, yet you're still talking about Eric July in the live stream. That's supposed to be nothing to do with him.
I have a background in journalism.
See, now people will say that I'm obsessed with Dane, which I'm not. I'm more obsessed with making fun of him and calling out his nonsense, similar to how he tries to call out nonsense, supposedly, that supposed grifter channels do, but I digress.
I have always been somebody who doesn't like misinformation, especially.
You spread misinformation literally all the time. You're one of the biggest piles of misinformation about Eric July and his comic book. You call people grifters all the time. That's literal misinformation. You call people who aren't even grifters all the time.
When it comes to things that I'm knowledgeable about.
You're clearly not knowledgeable on anything related to comics. You're pretty fucking stupid.
And I happen to know a lot of things about comics and stuff. And then I also happen to care a lot about, the political and social climate and stuff. So, like, really, I'm not obsessed with freaking Eric July. I'm obsessed.
Yes, you are obsessed with him.
Obsessed with those issues, and he operates on the axis of all of those issues that I care about.
He operates on the fact that comics nowadays are terrible. They put too many social political issues at the forefront rather than the backgrounds, how X-Men did it correctly. Like, even in the cartoons, because I wasn't a big comic guy. I was a big X-Men 90s, X-Men Evolution. And they managed to put the social political issues in there without it being the forefront and the most important part of the story. Which is what you want in comics. You want it at the forefront, and that's all you want it to be about. Not a great story, not great characters. You want it to be all about the message.
Right. Like that is...
Yeah. He gets himself out there, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, me and Bob...
Right?
Yes, because Eric is a confrontational person, and pussies like you can't handle it.
We had similar thing where, like, I had never covered him, despite, covering Comicsgate a lot for the first couple of years of my channel. And I knew who he was.
Covered it incorrectly, by the way.
Vaguely, but I just didn't think he, I don't know. I mainly knew him as the Rhodes guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, I was like, I don't care. And then I started hearing.
Yeah. Literally have nothing to add, Bob. G, dude. Good going.
People on Twitter in my comments mentioning, oh, he's got this new comic book coming out, and like, essentially kind of drew me into it. And then I start seeing these claims that are being made about it. It's going to compete with Marvel. This is going to show.
Yeah, it's going to compete and actually sell, unlike Marvel Comics. However, he's never said it would take over Marvel and DC. which is what you claimed that he said.
The wokies or whatever, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, those are some big claims, and it got me interested.
I mean, he's outsold most graphic novels in the last 10 years.
Like, okay, well, let's see. And I'm actually working on a compilation right now that's going to be kind of interesting to see, because
if you notice, the viewers is dropping off because they clearly do not care.
My relationship to covering him has changed because of how he's reacted to stuff, how his audience has.
You're using it
at the very least. Eric July's audience is actually intelligent, unlike your audience. Your audiences, for the most part, are pretty stupid.
correctly, dude.
Yeah, that one clip. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It brought up an old tweet.
I'm asking you for clarification. Can you answer what the question I just had?
Well, I'm trying to understand how you are asking what a legacy character is.
Yeah, he asked you what a legacy character is because you don't know what a legacy character is. You still don't know to this day what a legacy character is. So now we're going to go through these memes that they decided to make about Eric July as well. Saying stuff like, save comment from SJW and making more cape shit, but with me in it. Brought to you by The Blaze, because they continue to say that Eric July is somehow the token black guy of The Blaze, and he's a self-insert in his own comic book. That's entertainment. This ISOM comic is a gold mine. He's got Steven Crowder back here. We'll make sure it has a big launch on the first day, because they're basically insinuating that Glenn Beck funded Eric July's comic. Yo, Democrat be the real racist and shit. Like, this is so, like, lame, dude. Y'all still on this Glenn Beck stuff, bro. And it's not even true. Y'all still on about this. Anyone with logic and intelligence hates woke BS. I'm a man who was bi and wears skirts and nail polish, and I hate the LGBT representation. So I don't support Marvel or DC, but I will support the Riververse, because even normal people are realizing how dumb it is. And of course, ISOM story time when they're basically saying that there's no story in the comic, which is definitely not true. They clearly haven't read the book. Whoever made this nonsense clearly did not read the book whatsoever. I'm gonna skip past that and that to this supposed review of ISOM number 1 that gets things disastrously wrong. Right? I might have to do a separate video for this one. Yeah. No, you know what? We'll jump into it. So I've actually pulled up the full review. Whoops. Here. So we'll start here where they go back to an old goalpost where they said that Eric July is somehow the Black Stan Lee. Young River 59, power word. Eric July is a musician, YouTuber, and black libertarian. Whether he was drawn to libertarianism because of weed or underage interrelations is unclear. That's kind of weird. I don't think Eric July's ever done drugs in his life, or did this either. What is clear is how he got big on YouTube. Yeah, through his socio-political commentary, his gaming stuff, his comic reviews, his movie reviews. There's a lot of reasons why he got big on YouTube. Namely by being a black token for the right-wing reactionaries. No, he got big off the things I just mentioned. White nerds love black nerds that repeat them. It's pretty racist. His channel is nothing but shitting on how woke all entertainment is now. That's definitely not what his channel is about. Tell me you never watched his channel without telling me you never watched his channel. For your education, a woke show has gay characters that aren't the villains and the female characters are competent. No. The sexuality is pushed to the forefront and it's all about gay, gay, gay. And as for the women part, it's women are better at everything. They're just perfect and they know they're better than the men at everything they do. And they're somehow stronger than the men. That's literally what it is. In other words, it's an unrealistic show. Yes, you have people... You have a chick like Batwoman, Ruby Rose, like 100-pound chick beating up 300-pound dudes, flipping them over and stuff. That's not realistic. In his videos, he rants about injustices like making Aragorn black. That's actually a recent thing. Yeah, that's called tokenism, and it's called a race swap. I guarantee if it was Black Panther race swap to white, you would be throwing a bitch fit. Or making elves black, because there's no black elves in Tolkien's world. It doesn't really make sense. You're essentially saying that all the black elves got killed off from the show to the movies, or letting black people vote. Definitely not. Now, me dismissing Eric as a token would be in itself racist. Again, he's not a token for Glenn Beck or the Blaze. He contributes to the Blaze. He's definitely not a token black guy. That's weird. If Eric's content had any depth, it has a lot of depth. I've been watching his content since he was probably under 100,000 subs. Eric's main obsession is comic books and lamenting how bad and gay they are in the current year, because they are. As if they weren't always gay as your dick. This is so weird. Oh my god. Yes, they weren't always gay. So Eric is an internet critic and loves comic books. Gee, isn't this gonna turn out like Linkara? Oh god. Holy fuck, did his black ass raise money. Every virgin that hates the MCU. Yeah, because apparently everyone's a virgin that bought a comic book that was good, maybe even great, and it wasn't full of identity politics and garbage. And it was made on nice paper. And cries when Disney makes reboot. Gaston, oh my god, gave Eric their monies. Eric got over $3 million for his passion project Rippaverse, a new independent comic book universe that will take on Marvel, DC, and be bigger than Islam. Yeah, you're weird, dude. It won't have any of that woke shit. Superman's son wouldn't be... Oh my god. This is so stupid. The Rippaverse's very first issue came out earlier this year. It is ISOM. What is ISOM? Good question. Apparently it stands for I Suck Other Men. Wow. How original. Here we go. I'm going to dive into this. It begins like all classic comics do with 2 weeks earlier. There was never a present or now text. Yes, because there's a lot of comics apparently that don't do that. Two cops and what appears to be discount Commissioner Gordon are watching the mayor on TV. The mayor's bragging about crime being down. The cops grumble about superheroes and corruption. One talks about wanting to F a redhead superheroine. There's no redheads in the story. Gordon throws them out. And then Lady Cop bursts in to tell Gordon she's back. We aren't told who she is. It's called a mystery, dude. It's called Making You Wonder. Makes you think. Because literally Eric has said he's making a comic where it doesn't hold your hand. And he likes it when people theorize and make up their own ideas as to what's going on. Now for our hero's introduction. A farm outside the city. ISOM is punching a heavy bag. He has a massive outdoor gym. ISOM, a.k.a. Avery Soman, is totally not a self-insert for Eric July. It's not. ISOM is an angry and confused black man. So... weird. Set up a YouTube channel. He has a farm that grows crops. So let's see. I have the book here, right? Again, it's not really that important. I don't know what this nitpick is. It's not really that important. It's really not that important to the story. To this story. That's such a weird nitpick. ISOM is asked by his sister over the phone to come back to the city. He hates to locate a girl. So what? I've read this comic twice and I swear his sister doesn't get a name. So what? Actually, she does get a name. Literally. It's right here, dude. Her name is Altona. It's right here in the bubble here. It's right there, dude. Her name is Altona. Like, this is so stupid. That girl Jasmine might read the comic twice, and I swear the sister doesn't get a name. The girl Jasmine might be in trouble. That trouble might be because of Darren, a former friend of Avery. Isom's sister hopes he can use their friendship to locate Jasmine. Their family. It's a family member. Asking him for a favor. That's typically what families do. Jasmine is Mrs. Newman's daughter, whoever that is. I picture her as Aunt Jemima. Weird. Isom used to be some kind of superhero. It looks like he's retired. He never retired. He may or may not have powers. It is not clear. Isom hates the city but is willing to go back for the mysterious Mrs. Newman because Mrs. Newman's a family friend. It's literally all in there. It's literally in the book, dude. She's a family friend of his mother. You idiot. Isom leaves his plantation to his white slaves and ventures to civilization. Yeah, the people he's paying, I'm pretty sure that he's paying them. Again, that's up to your interpretation. That's a very weird interpretation. Very racist, by the way. We are then introduced to Yaira. Yaira is a big titty white woman who can fly and shoot energy. Captain Marvel with her worst costume. Oh, you mean fake Captain Marvel? It's not even the full costume, by the way. Eric's waifu. Eric is married to a black woman. She is fighting what might be criminals, then the cops. Then Alpha Corps shows up to protect the cops from Yaira. Alpha Corps is a trio of superpower cops. Holy crap, the first thing you got correct. They will turn out to be the bad guys, obviously. I doubt it. Again, you're making assumptions when you... Again, whatever. The main Alpha Corps guy says they wanted Yaira to never come back to the city, so the she's back was probably Yaira. Maybe. ISOM goes to Darren's club as Avery. ISOM immediately gets a meeting with Darren, the Black King fan of Floorspark. He really doesn't. Pretty sure he fights a bunch of dudes before that happens. If we want to talk about it. He actually has to go through his bodyguards first before he gets to that point. He asks about Darren, and the reason he gets an audience is because they're childhood friends. It's pretty obvious. Darren offers ISOM a job cleaning shit and piss off the kitchen floor like Cinderella. ISOM responds by killing Darren's most elderly black bodyguard with an X-ray rib punch from Mortal Kombat. Where does that happen? Where does that happen? There's no indication. Yeah, this is the rib punch you're talking about right here. Right? What indication do you see? I'm pretty sure he's right there on the ground holding his chest. Do you see him dead at all? I don't think so. Well, yeah, I mean, of course he's going to be kicking the shit out of his employees. Because, again, this is the same talking point that Dick Masterson had. Of course he's going to be kicking the shit out of his employees when all ISOM is doing is asking Darren questions, and they go out of their way to attack him for no reason. Excepts is short for exceptionals. You see how the superhumans of the Ripverse. They do odd jobs that require muscle on the side because heroin ain't easy. Oh my god. Dialogue between ISOM and the Elite. States they fought before, but the Elite easily destroys ISOM this time. The Elite then throws him by complete coincidence into Yaira. Yeah, because he throws him clean out of a window. Throws him out of a window. Or throws him, out the door. Throws him out the door. Right there. Yaira herself was also flying through the air after being thrown by Alpha Corps. Yaira assumes ISOM is working with the bad guy. No, that's definitely not reason. Again, racism. They fight. Yaira wonders if ISOM has superpowers for dropping him from a fatal height. ISOM narrates about his training being useless in this scenario before a crash landing on a taxi. There's no way he can survive this without powers, but at the same time he implies that he has no powers. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Yes, it says, this one is going to be tough. I've trained my body to do things people like me shouldn't be able to do. But unfortunately for me, flying ain't one of them. Yes, he's talking about training really hard and not being able to fly. We briefly cut back to ISOM's Caucasian farm slaves, and one of them is pretty sure ISOM might die in the city. He doesn't really have a good reason to think this, but he's right. Then we come back to ISOM. He's in the hospital. A doctor and nurse are arguing if ISOM has superpowers. Superpower test came back negative, but the tests don't account for everything. Like, they tested for this, but he might have this. So ISOM might have powers. They got to his room. He's talking about the list of accepts. Literally talking about the list of accepts that, Okay. They go to his room and find ISOM has escaped. ISOM walks, not limps, to an alley where a sexy 80s female streetwalker gives him... Oh my god, his review is so dumb. ISOM activates his ankle watch and his sister picks him up. She interrogates him about his awful day and dog shit detective work. ISOM gives evasive answers. ISOM then narrates that he doesn't give two crap about Jasmine and just wants... Wow. He's in the book here. It says, like it says on the screen, truth be told, saving Jasmine wasn't my primary focus. I almost forgot about it. That doesn't mean he doesn't give two shits. It's called his anger, his clouding his judgment, and all he's now seeking is to get back at Darren Fontano. That doesn't mean he doesn't care about Jasmine. It's so weird, dude. Back on the farm again, ISOM's head white slave muses about how trad pill and badass farm life is. I don't think that's actually what happens. Based on what I'm reading again in text, I do not think that that's actually what happens at all. ISOM stakes out Darren's club Merc in his truck. ISOM narrates that he is bad at this and his feelings are hurt. A white boomer approaches ISOM and asks him why he's just sitting in his truck doing this. This whole review is just so stupid. Within Merc, two individuals, one of whom has magic eyes, talking about buying Merc, or at least a place like Merc, to spy on important people. Outside, ISOM approaches the rear entrance while narrating about how he doesn't have a plan before he spent all of those hours in his truck just doing this. He narrates that he will improvise. Genius. Yeah, that's what a lot of heroes do. They tend to improvise. They don't come up with a plan, and they typically improvise. By coincidence, Jasmine is also outside Merc near the rear entrance. ISOM asks her if she is okay, and grabs her when she doesn't really answer. Okay, so I'll jump over to that. That's actually not what happens, but okay. This dude obviously skipped an important detail, as these people typically do. It literally says right here, Jasmine, Avery, what are you? Oh God. I honestly didn't expect to run into you so easily. Your mother's worried about you. Oh no. A whole portion that you skipped over because you're a disingenuous piece of shit. As always, what can I expect though from Dick Masterson and Vito fans? Bad faith actors create more bad faith actors, it would appear. It wasn't until... Okay, she didn't grab him, by the way. He didn't grab her at all. He says, I'm not here to judge you, just tell me if it's involuntary. Putting your hand on someone's shoulder is not grabbing them. Does it look like ISOM is grabbing her? No. He's putting his hand on her shoulder. Like this. So freaking weird. Jasmine runs off, and ISOM then says it's rude. No, he doesn't. He literally doesn't. ISOM then says it's rude they grabbed him. It is. It literally is. So in the panel, he says, why is putting your hands on someone so aggressively your first instinct? Which is what he actually shows right here. ISOM chokeslams one of them into the pavement, definitely crushing his skull. Yeah. Then karate chops the other in the throat. With the two white knights, they're not dead, by the way. ISOM super punches another guard. Now ISOM grabs a fourth guard and demands he take him to Darren. The fourth selflessly alerts Darren instead of submitting to ISOM. He presumably is murdered off screen, which he's not. I don't understand how you... Again, this isn't... Bruh, this isn't a fucking movie. The next panel, Merc's doors are knocked down with ISOM standing in the doorway with a fourth guard unconscious or dead on the ground after ISOM used him as a battering ram. Pretty sure he's not dead. A patron, this is all assumptions. A patron is checking his pulse. Inside Merc, it is no different than the other illegitimate club. Everyone in Merc tells ISOM to leave because he's a buzzkill. That's literally not what happens, by the way. That literally never happens. He doesn't threaten any. He says, ladies, I should just take this opportunity to leave. I ain't sparring anybody that's crazy enough to jump in this. That's not really a threat, per se. The heroic employees of Merc try their best to defeat the mighty and cruel ISOM. It's like he's really making out ISOM to be the villain in this book. The women escape thanks to their valiant efforts. Like, they leave the club, you dummy. They literally leave the club. The elite enters the scene, ready to do this. The elite correctly points out that ISOM should be dead from overthrowing him. ISOM demands to see Darren and the two angry men exit the club to fight. The elite rambles. His name is Santuan, by the way. He keeps saying the elite, which just tells me you really don't care about this book when you can't even use the proper names or tell the proper words from just reading the book. So ISOM definitely has powers. ISOM defeats the elite by launching himself off a wall, attacking the elite through the same wall. Yes, you can clearly see he has powers. You keep asking this question in your review, and yet you're so unintelligent that you can't seem to figure out that he has some type of powers, considering he survived a fatal... You said it already. He survived from a fatal height, and yet somehow you can't understand that he has powers? Like, are you really that dumb? Oh, yes, you probably are, because you're a Dick Masterson fan, another dummy that can't understand logic. He can only do this if he web swing like Spider-Man during a tackle, like a wrecking ball where he makes the elite the ball. The elite is defeated by ISOM's mysterious wall power. So cringe. 3 cops show up. Upon seeing the provoked carnage ISOM has caused at the elite's place of work, they try to arrest him. He flees from the police. Wow, this review is very racist, by the way. I'm not even, like, repeating half the stuff these guys saying. The cops give up because they think he has powers. So it's Alpha Core's problem. I don't know where you get that idea from. If we flip over to where it is. The cops... Yeah, it could be an alpha. It could be an Alpha Core problem. They don't say it's Alpha Core's problem. It says this could be an Alpha Core problem. He escaped them. They didn't give up because they think he has powers. They gave up because they lost sight of him. It's literally in the freaking book. He jumps up on the roof and gets away. It's like these people really don't read the book. ISOM arrives at his sister and chastises her for not answering the door at this late hour with the gun he brought her. Apparently being bulletproof was one of ISOM's potential powers. ISOM informs his sister. I don't know how you get that out of there. I don't know how you get that. The sister regrets ever asking her brother for help. They both fear retaliation from ISOM's... Again... This whole idea of being... Like, he just completely turns ISOM into being a villain when he's like... He could be an anti-hero, for all you know. Definitely not a villain. Villains typically don't try to help people for the greater good. ISOM goes to get his old suit from a guy. The guy doesn't have a name, but he's supposed to be Q or Edna mode. Some kind of, like, I don't know. The guy has a memory, but not an actual memory. It's implied to be some kind of technology. The editorial text says it will get its own prequel story. The guy shows off his facility and talks about the super special materials they use to make the super suits. The guy gives ISOM his suit back. It doesn't have a mask, and the comic ends. You'll probably learn more about him in the next book. It's supposed to be a cliffhanger. Clearly, you don't know how to read. Your reading comprehension is so down there. Why did Darren call Avery a nobody when everyone should know ISOM is Avery? That's such a dumb question. This is his old suit, and it doesn't hide his goddamn face. ISOM isn't a stealthy hero. He literally goes to the bad guy's place and kicks the doors down. Then there's a teaser for Norfolka, a Nordic African band whose performances fuel and activate their powers. Norfolka could be cool with teasers so short they don't really have enough time to assault women. Wow. Finally, there's an ad for Eric July's wife's Etsy store. By the way, that's probably a quarter of the way, maybe even halfway through the book. I don't know where you get this idea that the ad is at the end of the book. It's somewhere in the middle of the book. Dude, like, how did you get to the ad right at the beginning? And besides that, why does it matter? His wife never asked him to put it there. He decided to put it there because he's a good dude. This honestly reads like Eric July has a problem with a colleague from high school that called him a loser. I doubt that. Also, he's bitter about being thrown out of clubs. I don't think he's really went to clubs. I don't think that was his thing. Now he has added a missing girl to justify his bad behavior and revenge fantasy. However, the girl isn't missing and she doesn't want ISOM's help, so it's still not justified. He probably just doesn't want to get involved in her stuff. I bet lots of comments like, it's easy to criticize, not so easy to create, more or less dared Eric to make the Rippaverse. No, he made the Rippaverse because he was sick and tired of seeing the mainstream comic industry be a piece of shit and make a bunch of shitty comics and ruin a bunch of heroes he liked. Eric wants comics and yearns for the golden years. Why isn't the hook of this book an analog for Stan Lee getting deleted by a gay communist? He talks about the state of current year comics like that actually happened. I can't picture any comic hero I've read handling the Jasmine situation as poorly as ISOM has. This is supposed to be Iron Man for Eric's universe. No, it's not. Imagine the MCU if they tripped right out the gate. Iron Man just has the Iron Man suit and he photon cans a child. Eric July could never even make Captain Marvel. Why would he want to make a garbage comic that got cancelled? ISOM is Lightbringer with a budget, except in Lightbringer the bad guys actually committed crimes. Again, it's a launching pad. It's like the first issue of this universe and this company. You sound like one of those people, you expected everything to be in the first book. Meanwhile, he's trying to tell a big story and a long story for a long time. Clearly, half the time you just kept making everything about race, which is exactly what Eric July laughs at half the time. He always laughs at dumbasses like you who want to make everything about race, and race is the most important thing, and that's all you see is race because literally you're showing how racist you actually are. That's literally what you're doing. You saying, oh, of getting 3 million to write dog shit. Well, clearly you don't even know how to properly read because you're a fucking retard. So all I see from you is a bunch of bullshit. So I don't know where you get off talking about it's dog shit when you can't even read the supposed dog shit that you're talking about. You can't even properly read the shit and you make up a bunch of nonsense that didn't even happen in the book. But what can I expect from a Dick Masterson fan when his reading comprehension was dog shit? So obviously, being a fan of his, your comprehension would be absolute dog shit. Thank you all for checking out this video. I know it's a long one. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys watch it all the way through. If you do like it, hit the like button. Comment below what you feel about all this. Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all that we get notifications anytime I post a new video. And I will see you all on the next one. Peace.